Deputy, next is Deputy William Penrose, the Minister for Defence. The upper service limits that apply post 1st January 1994 to enlisted personnel of the Defence Forces. Deputy has 4 minutes for initial statement.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and I wish to thank Controller for selecting this important matter for discussion on the floor of the Dáil here today. I'm raising what's an extremely important issue for serving members of the Permanent Defence Forces and for the General Army itself, and it focuses upon the upper service limits that apply post 1st of January 1994 and that pertain to enlisted personnel of the Permanent Defence Forces. I also understand that the PD4 at the recent conference minister have called for and indeed initiated a claim for review of these age limits. With effect from January, the Department of Defence unilaterally introduced new terms and conditions respecting those enlisted in the PDF. The new measures were intended to address the high age profile and non-effectivity levels of serving personnel identified in reviews of the PDF in the early 90s. The main provisions unilaterally introduced were as follows. New entrants were engaged for a 5-year period with a small number, 10 to 15%, I understand, being given an opportunity to extend in service beyond this term. It was then planned that corporals would be limited to 12 years maximum service, sergeants 21 and senior NCOs up to 50 years of age. New entrants would have higher health and fitness standards, and for up to 21 years service it was necessary to maintain a constitutional grade 1 and a grade 2 was necessary thereafter. In accordance with the Deletion Commission recommendation, new entrants would not receive pre-discharge leave, extension of service leave or gratuity payments. I understand that PD4 oppose the shorter contracts and campaign vigorously against them in an effort to offer careers for up to 31 years duration for its members. The higher fitness and medical standards were accepted by PD4, as indeed were the changes to pre-discharge leave, extension of service leave and extension of service gratuities. Negotiations took place on several occasions regarding the post 1st of January 1994 contracts, and following a ballot of the relevant members, an agreement was reached in 2006. The main provisions agreed were as follows. Privates and corporals could serve up to 21 years, sergeants up to 50 years of age and senior NCOs up to 65 years of age. In order to reach the service limits, privates, corporate sergeants and senior NCOs must fulfil the eligibility criteria. That is, undertake specific courses, and their conduct to be good, and the CEO's recommendations and high fitness and medical standard. Minister, I am reciting this agreement just to set out the background and to assert that this agreement has been a great success, and consequently the effectivity of personnel has increased to very high levels, and a recent report confirms that the Permanent Defence Force has the lowest level of sick leave in the public service. In 2012, PD4 decided to seek a review of the service limit of 21 years for private and corporate ranks. They did so for a number of reasons. The newer higher fitness and medical standards have, as I said, been a complete success, and effectivity levels are now very high. The PD4 expected the Department of Defence would have put in place measures to support and prepare personnel for discharge from the PDF after 21 years service. This would involve CV preparation, interview skills, job search, training, etc. But as I understand it, no such support provisions were put in place. The number of people now unemployed and has increased and is now clearly much more difficult to secure employment. The Croke Park Agreement provides for the standardisation of terms and conditions, and no other public service members, as far as I am aware, are limited to 21 years, despite being able to perform their duties to a very high standard, as I said. I would also ask that the review which I am asking you to undertake, Minister, should provide for upper service limits for privates and corporals of 50 years of age, the same as those for sergeant rank, subject, of course, to them continue to meet the eligibility criteria, including the high fitness and medical standards, and we all accept that. I think you should also introduce a number of measures now to help post 1st of January entrants. It's ideas like support measures such as CV preparation, interview skills, training, job search, the payment of a service gratuity to those who are compulsory discharged, and the payment of outstanding claims for a small additional pension gratuity. I also understand that during the Haddington Road Agreement negotiations, PD4 has sought the introduction of an upper service limit of 50 years of age for privates and corporates as a cost-saving measure for the government in the defence sector. And I'm sure, Minister, that's what you would like to hear, cost-saving. The additional pension costs arising from discharging and then replacing 100 post-1st January 1994 entrants of private and corporate rank will be of the order of 1.3 million per annum. If 100 privates and corporates a year are compulsory discharged for the years 2014, 2015, 2016 and 2017, the cumulative additional pension costs will be the order of 7.8 million. Look, Minister, with respect, and I thank you for coming to take this debate, this is a no-brainer. And I note that at the PD4 annual delegate conference in 2013, Minister Shahar confirmed that further discussion would take place on the issue, and from a management perspective that the manpower and operational needs of the Defence Force must be a primary consideration. Surely, Minister, increasing the upper age limit for service as requested here on the floor today does not detract from these primary considerations that has been outlined by Minister Shahar. In fact, I would suggest that we be extremely complementary to your own view and to your department's view in this regard.
Thank you, Deputy. Minister Paul Keogh to reply.
First of all, I would like to thank the Deputy for raising this matter, and I will begin by explaining the background to the upper service limits which apply to personnel who enlisted in the Permanent Defence Forces on 1 January 1994. In 1990, the Gleeson Commission commented on the unsatisfactory age of fitness profile of the Permanent Defence Force. Thereafter, an in-depth study of the Defence Forces by Pricewaterhouse Consultants in 1994, who have been engaged by the Efficiency Audit Group, expressed severe criticism of the age profile of the Defence Forces. Following the review, the Efficiency Audit Group report was accepted by Government in 1995. The findings of this report reflected the serious concerns about the military authorities had held for a number of years in relation to the age profile of the Defence Forces. The present terms of enlistment for general service recruits arose as a result of the issue raised in that report. One of the key areas identified for the urgent action by the Efficiency Audit Group was the development of manpower policy with an emphasis on lowering the age profile of Permanent Defence Force personnel. In an effort to alleviate the situation, the Government had already decided in 1993, in consultation with the Representative Association, to enlist personnel on a 5-year contract basis. It is important to bear in mind that due to the robust nature of many military operations and their attendant physical training regimes, personnel are exposed to a unique range of challenging environments at home and overseas. Working in the Defence Forces is a demanding career, and physical fitness is a basic requirement of military life. Military life places unique physical and psychological demands on individuals, and personnel are exposed to a unique range of challenging environments. Personnel need to be physically and mentally prepared to meet the challenge of all military operations and to be in a position to undertake their duties on deployment overseas. In these circumstances, it is vital that the age of the health profile of personnel be such as to ensure the operational capability and effectiveness are not compromised. As such, in order to maintain the age profile of the Defence Force to carry out the operational tasks required by Government, it is necessary to have a constant input of recruits into the Defence Forces. The maximum age for enlisted personnel provides for the mechanism through which a satisfactory age profile can be achieved. In 1997, an agreement was reached with the Permanent Defence Forces, other ranks representative associations on a new manpower policy for the Defence Forces. This policy, applying to personnel enlisted after the 1st of January 1984, provided a service for private soldiers who would initially be for a 5-year contract basis with the reserve commitment of 7 years. This was followed by the option to extend the service to a maximum 12 years, subject to meeting standards of medical and physical fitness and conduct. Longer periods of service are in place for non-commissioned officers. In 2004, the Representative Association for Enlisted Personnel submitted a claim under the Conciliation and Arbitration Scheme for a further review of terms of service applying to personnel enlisting to the Permanent Defence Forces after the 1st of January 1994. A set of criteria was agreed with the Representative Association to provide longer careers for these personnel while continuing to address the Government's objective of having an appropriate age profile to meet the challenges of a modern defence forces. The criteria required for any personnel re-engaging after 12 years service must be able to continue to operate their current level both at home and overseas on an ongoing basis. Re-engagement is subject to the individual soldier meeting specified criteria in regard to physical fitness, medical category and successful completion of military courses of instruction such overseas and conduct ratings. The maximum service period for these personnel is as follows. Enlisted personnel up to and including the rank of corporal and equivalent naval service rank may not serve beyond 21 years service. Enlisted personnel in rank of sergeant and equivalent to naval service rank may be permitted to continue in service up to the age of 50 years. Enlisted personnel in all higher ranks may serve to the age of 56 years. This new policy represents a substantial improvement for the personnel who would otherwise not have had leave after 12 years, while continuing to address the issue of age, profile and fitness level in the Defence Forces. In conclusion, with the approach of 2015, the first effects of the agreement whereby privates and corporals may not serve beyond 21 years will be felt by the Permanent Defence Force members in those ranks. A claim has been received from the Representative Association for further review in relation to this matter. In accordance with normal procedures, the Association claim is being dealt with under the Conciliation and Arbitration Scheme for members of the the Permanent Defence Force. The Deputy will appreciate that as deliberations under the scheme are confidential to the parties involved, it would not be appropriate for me to comment further on the matter at this time, other to emphasise that in dealing with this issue, the manpower and operational needs of Defence Forces must be the primary consideration.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Willie Penrose has 2 further minutes of supplementaries.
Well, sure, I accepted the point, and so does the Representative Association, that extending the age limit for service depends upon people satisfying the health and fitness and criteria. That's a sine qua non, and they're satisfied. They're exacting standards, and everybody accepts that. But Minister, I want to illustrate to you, how cost-effective, and in this year of cost-effective and value for money, how important is the proposal I have made. And the following example: a number of privates and corporates who will be compulsory discharged at 21 years are technicians who have typically undergone a 4-year training technician program scheme. And typically such individuals may have completed 10-year service before become fully trained in their trade or occupation. So that's 4. And I estimate that the 4-year training period will cost up to 200,000 or thereabouts, and the state may only get a further 11 years or less service from them as fully trained technicians before they're discharged. So by extending it, you get another 9 or 10 years. So it'd be gross. It's so the efficiency level and the economy. That's it. I mean, I'm not asking. I know a number of issues I'd like to raise, but what will be the cost exchequer in additional pension and gratuity following the compulsory discharge of 1994 entrance after 21 years? I've given you an idea there that I estimate. What will be the additional cost exchequer to train and replace the general service personnel be compulsory discharged after 21 years? Those are all issues, and I know you won't have the answer to today, nor I do expect it, but I'm just raising those in the context of conciliation and arbitration procedure. Those are matters the Minister's side should be making. I'm making the case for the Minister as well as the personnel who are out there. And I have close contacts with the Army as well. I'm one of the few people who actually give up a very senior position because I have such a strong belief and association with the personnel and the Army, and especially the importance of the barracks West Mullingar. And what would be the additional cost to the Exchequer to train and replace the technician class personnel be compulsory discharged after 21 years, as I said? What arrangement put in place to deliver on the commitments given in 1984 to train and upskill those personnel be compulsory discharged? If the personnel be compulsory discharged at 21 years are legally entitled to redundancy payments, what's the position there? And do the personnel who have been compulsory discharged at 21 years continue to meet health, fitness and efficiency standards laid down by the Department for the ranks? And assuming they do, why let them go? Sure, and I finally ask if you believe that those being compulsory discharged at 21 years will end up being unemployed and incur additional costs to the Exchequer through job seekers' benefit or whatever. Look, it's rarely I come in with such a strong case. This is so strong, Minister. I believe that the Department should be going to the conciliation and arbitration scheme and saying, hoping that the adjudicator makes the right decision. It'd be good for the Army and the Department of Defence, and it'd be good for the personnel involved, and it will save money. And I know what was sitting around the cabinet table along yourself there for a while. That was the key personnel, but still ensure that we have the necessary personnel and with the appropriate standards to meet the demand and the obligation that you have outrightly outlined in your reply.
Thank you, Deputy. Minister Paul,
I would like to thank the Deputy for his further questioning, and there is some points that I will get back to you with, and I will ask the Department to come back to you on that. And I understand where you're coming from on the cost-effective side of it. I've spoken to the association as well, specifically on this issue, and I know you feel extremely strong on the issue, as you do with all facets of the Defence Forces. But let me state to you that there is talks at a very advanced stage, as I understand from the Department and from Minister Shatter's office, and that I think it would be very unfair for us to be discussing here what they are the advanced deliberations that they are at the moment. But let me assure you that in accordance with the procedure of the association and the Department, and that it has been dealt with under the conciliation and the arbitration scheme. And I would hope that we can come up with some common ground here that would meet your needs and the association's needs, and in fairness to Minister Shatter, I will say to him that he has listened to the concerns of the associations since his appointment, as I have had. Mightn't have always agreed on them, but I think he's very committed to the Defence Forces, and this is a case that I very much he will give due consideration to.
Thank you. Next is